Welcome to Biomimicry Ecotone. As usual, we've got a special guest for you. My name is Gama, for short, otherwise Gamehle Sibanda. I'm a B-Pro, and I'm with my co-host here. Over to you, Hugo.
Thank you, Gama. And we have a super special guest, Dana Baumeister. And Dana has been training us all for many years now. And I would like to introduce her with a special gift, the biomimicry seed that she has put in all of us from 2008 to 2018. So 10 years, she has been training 10 different cohorts, at least in 29 different countries, with 87 different disciplines all around the world. And we have mapped in these 10 years, at least 167 biomimics, whether they're professional or specialists.
A world, unencumbered to really live its full potential. What will it take to get there? And well, we need a lot more people practicing biomimicry in the world. We need a lot more examples of biomimicry. And how are we going to get that? Well, we need people trained to do biomimicry. Okay, well, how are we going to get people trained to do biomimicry? Well, we're just going to have to make a program. And so indeed, that is what I've been working on. I embraced the verb half of biomimicry and let Janine take over the noun half of biomimicry.
Biology has become our common language.
It's been 23 years that I've been working on all things biomimicry. Dreaming big and about an abundant world when you're faced with the realities of scarcity. We have a number of projects that we're working on with really big name clients. So if you look at our Project Positive membership page, we've got, Microsoft and Google and Interface and Kohler, and Ford is a big one. I'm also working on a project for a huge mining company. Mining, it's like, in the beginning, I was like, really? I don't know if I want to work with a mining company. But over a period of several months, we've actually created a whole new narrative where they have fully embraced and fully recognized that they can no longer be a mining company, but that they can transform their efforts and their talents and skills into becoming a regenerative development company. What we are crafting are what we call micro museums. They're sort of these 1.5 meter diameter, 2 meter tall, like kiosks that we feature 18 different champion organisms from the desert that say, let me be your teacher. And then, so for example, we have the humpback whale, and the humpback whale tells all these really cool stories that you can learn from humpbacks and their brethren that have been learned, have been emulated, or could be learned. So really fun to be in that sort of interactive exhibit space. Many of you know I'm also a professor of practice and run the Biomimicry Center at Arizona State University. I think the latest numbers are about 350, including the enrolled and graduates from the master's degree.
How can we occupy this ecological niche that belongs as a species in a conscious evolutionary process?
Our need to be social. We know we can't make it alone, that we are very much a social being, but coupled with the adaptive capacity of our brains to continuously and endlessly learn. People, I believe, all over the world are starting to feel more separate than connected. We see all these political tensions and divisions and so on. And I think that creates a dissonance, a discord in the brain that's like, it's not the way I'm hardwired. I should be hardwired to be connected. Sadly, I believe the drive for working collaboratively will be for the benefit of humanity, but the winner will be the benefit of all of life. You can't make it without the rest of life coming along and being part of that thriving story.
How do you change that mindset?
I recall a week-long workshop that I did for a very common, well-known Fortune 500, and it was about 30 PhDs. They were pretty convinced they already had the answers and that they had already tried everything. It did take a lot of effort. I got to come in with my science strong, right? I can't go in just making up stuff. I often have to say, you're not allowed to say no or but. You can only say and what if. in response to, some of the ideas that are generated.
What about maybe a company that is just interested in the emulation?
Are there organisms out there that have solved that challenge, right? Is it a good question to ask nature? If there are organisms, are we going to be able to emulate what they do? How does this fit with the ethos of biomimicry? Is there a sustainability win? Is this something the organism would be grateful they learned from us, that we learned from them? And they said, oh no, we don't want that third category. We're not going to work on a project that doesn't fit those criteria. People want to fall in love again with nature if they're not already in love with nature.
What has been your latest innovation that has gone mainstream?
If we're talking about healthcare, it might be X. If we're talking about transportation, it might be Y. If we're talking about the built environment, I can't give that answer to you in a soundbite.
And how do you see this connection in between local cultures, indigenous cultures, nature, and biomimicry?
The idea of othering creates a notion of discrete buckets. It's very much a gradient where the intersection between TEK and biomimicry needs to be a joint exploration. So that's why this ecotone is so cool, because you are featuring those people and telling their stories. And I hope they inspire those that maybe haven't yet made something happen to make something happen. When I learned to scuba dive, I could stay underwater twice as long as everybody else. And they accused me of becoming a fish, swapping out my lungs and having gills. But I learned that if you spend twice as long on the exhale than the inhale, you're using that much less oxygen. I would just take a really, really long, slow exhale, and then I would sip my inhales.